All rise.
The Kosovo Specialist Chambers is now in session.
Please be seated. Good morning and welcome. Court officer, can you please call the case?
Good morning, Your Honors. This is case KSC BC 2020-04, Specialist Prosecutor versus Pieter Shala.
Thank you. First of all, I kindly ask you to indicate who is present today. Madam Prosecutor, you have the floor.
Good morning, Your Honors. For the SPO, Line Pedersen, Filippo De Minicis, and me, Gaia Pergolo.
Thank you. Victims' Counsel, please.
Good morning, Your Honours. I'm Simon Laws, counsel for the victims in this case, together with my co-counsel, Maria Radziowska.
Thank you. Defense Counsel, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Good morning. So we are here with Mr. Shala, as usual. He is at the detention center. I'm Mr. Gilesen, and we are here with Mr. Edi Awini, my co-counsel, Jill Gelcobe, that you know perfectly well, and Miss Janeta Petrovica, our case manager. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Shala. Can you confirm that you hear me?
Yes, I hear you very well.
Today we will continue with the cross-examination of Mr. Gazior by the defense. And before we start with the witness testimony, we will issue an oral, even two oral orders. There are some numbers in it, so I will try to speak slowly. The first oral order concerns a request made by the SPO via email on Tuesday, the 27th of June 2023 at 10:24, pertaining to the assignment of an exhibit number to the document with ERN SPOE 00214798 till 00214799. The SPO submits that this document constitutes the correct version of a report that the panel admitted into evidence on the 20th of April 2023, following its decision on the specialist prosecutor's motion for admission of documentary evidence, and this is filing 491. The ERN of this report is SPOE 00134047 till 00134048. The SPO further submits that the original report is now superseded, it doesn't exist anymore in legal workflow, by the correct version, and thus requests the panel to direct the registry to assign an exhibit number to the new version of it. And taking into consideration the SPO submissions, the panel grants the SPO request and directs the registry to assign an exhibit number to the requested document, which is ERN SPOE 00214798 till 00214799, as well to its Albanian translation. And the registry is further directed to add this oral order to the general comments of the document in legal workflow. And this concludes our first oral order. So that is taken care of. And the second oral order pertains to the request made by the defense via email on Tuesday, 27 June 2023 at 4 in the afternoon to add one item to its list of material to be used during cross-examination today of witness 4826. We note that this item with ERN number 113841 till 113843 was disclosed by the SPO on Monday, 26th of June, 2023, in Disclosure Package 136. Noting that there were no objections raised by the SPO and by Victims' Counsel, we authorize the defense to add this item in its list of items to be used during the witness cross-examination of today, and we instruct to amend the defense to the list of items and update its presentation queue accordingly. Very well. This concludes the panel's second order, and that means that we can continue with the testimony of Mr. Gazior. We will have three regular sessions of 1.5 hours today. The break is foreseen for either 19 or 60 minutes. I don't know how much time we will be using today, but it should be finished today due to the availability of the right language interpreters. But I don't foresee any problems in that respect, and I see the defense nodding in my direction. Defense counsel, could you already give an indication at this moment in time how much time you think the defense will be needing? And of course, approximately.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning to Your Honors, to everyone in and around the courtroom. Depending on the pace in which we would go, we anticipate that we will be done within one session.
Okay. Thank you very much. Another more technical question I would like to ask is Transcend working for everybody?
No.
Oh, that's an issue, and I see also, so the panel has difficulties. Madam Prosecutor?
It wasn't working on that position, so I had to move here. Now here is working fine, but I understand there's some license issues as well, so I'm not sure. I think probably there's some liaising that is being done in the meantime.
Okay, and at the side of the defense?
It is working on our side, Your Honors.
Very well, thank you. I will liaise with the court officer to see what we can do before we start. We will follow up on it, and before we can start, I prefer to have Transcend working for everybody.
Your Honor,
Defense counsel.
yeah, can we seek a clarification in the meantime? Can we seek a clarification in the meantime?
You may.
Thank you, Your Honor. In your second oral order, we were directed to add the additional document to our list of material. Our understanding is that once it is released, it is the registry that holds control over the list, and in the past, they were the ones adding those additional documents. So we want to know whether we are required somehow to add it, because we might have we might not have the necessary controls to add the documents, because the presentation queue is released, and usually it's done through the registry.
We will follow up on that, but because it's one document and we know about what document we're talking, I don't think there will be any problem. Defense counsel, it has been added to the list, so that's taken care of. For the panel, Transit is now working. Parties and Victims Council can confirm that they have also Transit that is working. Very well. Then we can proceed with the testimony of the witness. Madame Court Usher, could you usher the witness into the courtroom? Please have a seat, Mr. Gasio. Mr. Gasio, good morning.
Good morning.
And welcome back. Can you confirm that you hear me fine?
Tak, słyszę.
Indeed, I can hear you fine.
Mr. Shala, have you been able to hear the translation?
Yes, I can hear it very well. Thank you.
Mr. Gasser, how are you today?
Dziękuję.
I'm fine, thank you.
Today, Mr. Gasser, we will continue with the examination by the defense. And I remind you that you are still under oath to tell the truth. Defense counsel, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Good morning, Dr. Gassior.
Dzień dobry.
Good morning.
Doctor, I am one of the counsels for the defense of Mr. Shala, who is the defendant in this case. And I'll ask you a number of questions to elucidate some further details on things that you told us and told the prosecutor and the panel last week, okay? And I'll try to do as much as possible in public hearing. So I will ask you if you remember to that we have determined some information and refer to them by individual A, individual B, individual C. If you don't remember exactly what that refers to, we will go through it together to make sure we don't have any confusion, okay?
Osobą A
Individual A
Public session.
So, patient A, individual A, was the one whose body I performed the autopsy. Patient B, or individual B and C, these were two individuals, patients, whom I examined physically. So I performed a physical examination of the bodies.
Correct. So, Doctor, we will start by individual A and the report you made on that individual, okay? And last Monday, at page 2075, lines 17 to 23, we were discussing the items, the body, the stages of the body, and items that you have found in the bag that you received to perform the autopsy. And specifically, you mentioned that you have found a gypsum plaster. Do you remember that? embark you in an exercise where we need to remember certain things. If there are some details, I will ask you specifically and guide you to the report to see it. So not to worry about that, okay? My question was whether you remembered there was a plaster cast, and you confirmed it, okay? And I'm moving on unless you have some precision you want to give us.
Z raportu
Now, in this report we read that this gypsum plaster had been put on his lower right leg, lower limb.
Doctor, this plaster was applied on one part of the leg or the whole leg?
odpowiedź
Now, I can answer this question on the basis of the pictures, photographs contained in the report.
12, maybe, at ERN 031062.
Please proceed, Madam Court Officer.
Not to be broadcast to the public, of course. Have a look at picture 12, Doctor, and can you confirm that this is actually the gypsum plaster you are referring to? And if you could answer the question whether it was applied to one part of the leg, the lower part, as you mentioned, or is it the entire leg?
zdjęcie 11
Well, looking at photograph number 11, and what we see is the back of the body. So on the autopsy table, this body is lying, and we have the posterior view. And as for photograph number 12, we see the gypsum plaster in question. This is what the report evidence tells us.
Have you identified from the items that you received in the bag another equipment or element or item suggesting treatment? Do you remember that?
widoczny był opatrunek
So the gypsum plaster on the right leg, and also what was seen there was a catheter. Together with a container, a bag. And it's of course for urine collection.
Thank you, Doctor. If we look at the at the following page, at photographs 15 and 16 to match the description with the photos, maybe.
Please proceed.
ERN is 031063, photographs 15 and 16. Thank you. Doctor, if we look at pictures 15 and 16, this is what you refer to as catheter? Can you confirm that?
To jest zakończenie cewnicy.
This is the end part of the catheter. It ends with a container for excretion collection, and it reaches the container by means of this catheter.
In the description of remains in the report, at page 031050, it is mentioned, just for clarity, surgical bag on the back with tubes leading into urinary bladder, and it refers to pictures 15, 16, 18, 19, 20, 21, and picture of removed plastic bag at picture 57. We are talking about the catheter here as well, huh?
Ten opis odnosi się do tego.
This description pertains to the catheter, yes.
Thank you, Doctor. So for extra clarity, can you explain to the panel what a catheter consists of for layman people like us, not forensic people?
Jest to rurka.
It's a tube which is entered into the urinary bladder, and it is used for urine transport, which goes into a plastic bag that is outside of the human body.
Thank you very much, Doctor. I'm moving to another area of this report, referred to as saponification. Okay? So the saponification of the body.
Can we take off the photographs, Defense Counsel?
Yes, please, Your Honor. So, Doctor, you told us about the process of saponification at pages 2074 to 2075 of the transcript. And you mentioned that in this case, the case of this body, individual A, all soft tissues were saponified. Do you remember that?
Z protokołu wynika,
Now, in the report we read that the soft tissues of individual A had been transformed after their demise or post-mortem. So this was this fat into wax transformation that is called saponification. And as I mentioned, it is also called CHOC transformation.
Do we understand that the body was skeletonized?
częściowo
Partly. So it had been partly skeletonized. And partly, the soft tissues of individual A had been saponified.
Can we say that no soft tissue was left on the body?
na ciele pacjenta
On the body of patient A, there were soft tissues that had been transformed post-mortem, so transformed in a way that we call saponification.
With your leave, Your Honor, we would like to call the note that was recently added just to clarify one sentence so the doctor has the opportunity to explain what is written there about this specific topic, just for clarity.
Yes, if you give the ERN number to Madame Kortoffer, she can proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. So the ERN is 113841 to 113843, and the first page is the one we need to look at. Not for public broadcast, of course, and we can look at point number 2 at sub point C. Can you read that, Doctor? Yes, so here it says there was no soft tissue left on the body. Just for clarity, explain to us what is meant there.
Pani prokurator, oddaję pani głos.
Just to make reference to the fact that defense counsel is pointing to a specific part of the note, but we have also a bullet point just above where there is information provided on the saponification process in particular. I'm happy to read it, but I think is available to everyone. So I think the 2 points should be put to the expert together just for him maybe to clarify fully what the scope of the conversation we had was in this specific regard.
Thank you, Madam Prosecutor. I think that for a reason of completeness, if you would not mind, we could add that. But I think that the expert is completely aware, but it's good to have that in the transcript.
We're happy to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, point B says, skeletonized means that there was no flesh on the body, the skin was transformed and saponified, and then point C, there was no soft tissue left on the body. So just clarify for everyone's benefit, Doctor, what you mean by that, with reference to this individual A's body.
During the examination, after the death of the exhumed body, the soft tissues are removed and the rest of skeletal tissues are placed on the autopsy table in the anatomical position, and then the action is taking place in order to establish whether there are any injuries on the skeletal remains. Therefore, in order to examine the skeletal remains, the soft tissues are removed.
And the pictures that we have in the report is after the body was put in anatomical position, correct?
Which picture, please?
If we could look at picture number 11 at ERN 031062, or maybe we have a full page. Maybe you have a full page picture at 031056.
Proceed, Madam Court Officer.
Doctor, this is the anatomical position you referred to, correct?
Yes, it's a picture of the patient after it's been delivered to the mortuary to perform the autopsy.
So I'm going to seek some clarifications on another point in your report, which is the shots that you observed on the body, okay? And my question is this: can you confirm that in the report, where there is mentioned 2 to 3 shots, and you mentioned to us last week that it was your opinion that it was 3 shots to that body? Do you confirm that no measurements of the holes was made on that report?
During the examination of the remains, skeletal remains, there were 3 gunshots into the right knee, from which 2 went through the knee socket, through the bones constituting the knee, and the 3rd shot was was a tangential shot. Superficial.
My question is, were there any measurements of the diameters of the holes present in the bone? We see in other reports that there are some centimeters, millimeters measurements, but here we don't see any. Can you confirm that?
W tym raporcie
In this report, with regards to the bones with the visible damage caused by the shot, there is a scale measurement with a number and millimeters.
Doctor, in the picture we see a scale that is what we call légende, but we don't have the same measurements as in other reports where there is a specific arrow with the precise numbers, nor in the description about the diameter of the holes in the bones. I'm just trying to clarify whether it is there or not.
In order to establish the damage, there is always a ruler in millimeters applied, which allows to establish the size of the injury.
We could go to page 031065 because, and then to picture 29, because it could be that that is what the witness is referring to, and it's not for me to interrupt in your examination, but I'm under the impression that he is referring to this picture. So we could ask him if he can confirm that and maybe talk with this picture in front of him.
Yes, Your Honor, this is my understanding as well.
Please proceed.
Yeah. ERN is 031065, picture 30, if we are talking about the same picture. Doctor, the ruler that
Defense
you mentioned...
counsel,
Yes.
apologies for interrupting you, but there is one point not clear in the transcript, and I would prefer to have that clarified. At page 14, between lines 1 and 4, Mr. Gazio makes reference to the third shot, and I see here a tangential shot or superficial. Yeah? Could you clarify what you mean with that, Mr. Gazior?
Jest to strzał.
It's a shot, a gunshot, which gets onto the fibia and condyle of the femur bone on the side. This shot is visible on the picture number 39.
That's for Madam Court Officer 031067.
Doctor, are you referring to the green arrow there?
'39, yes.
Tak, jest to
Yes, it's an arrow which is closest to green.
Gassier for this clarification. I will now give the floor back to the defense counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor, and thank you, Doctor, for this clarification. Now, you told us that, in your opinion, the time between the gunshots and the death was a short one, and that's at transcript page 2095, lines 4, 5, and following. In your assessment, the artery was destroyed, leading to bleeding out, which caused the death, because there is no signs of healing of the bone. So in your assessment, the time between the gunshots and the death was short. Could you help us, if you can, with the assessment of how short an estimate of time in your assessment between the gunshot and the death?
Please continue, Mr. Witness.
badanie
The examination of the damaged bones did not show that they were undergoing healing. Therefore, the time between the sustained injury and the death of a patient was a short one. The healing time depends on many factors, amongst which there is an age of the patient. Individual factors play a very important role. And the only thing I can repeat is that it was a short time.
But allow me, if you say a short time, Mr. Witness, is that days, weeks, a month?
Hours, minutes?
If you can, of course. But for us, it's a very vague concept.
raczej
I would rather tend to say that the time was at most few days.
And that is the case even if the wounds are left untreated?
na zdjęciach
On the pictures of the damaged bones, there is no visible marks of healing, which indicates that the time between the sustained injury and death is a short one.
That the destruction of a principal artery like this one is a life-threatening situation.
The damage of that artery is a life-threatening damage.
Now I'm moving to a different report. We're going to deal with individual B, so another report of examination, and it's about individual B. Do you need refreshing as to which one of the persons examined is individual B. We're still in public session, so if you need more details, you just say you do, and then we help you with that. So do we understand correctly that it is impossible to form a conclusive determination of the source of the injury? Do you agree with that?
Opisane obrażenia
The described injuries were a result of a trauma.
About you also talked about an injury to the shoulder at page 2121 of the transcript of last Tuesday, and do you agree with me again that it is impossible to make a conclusive determination of the source of the injury, that what caused the injury?
obrażenia
These injuries, the result of which were the visible scars, were a result of a trauma.
Yes, doctor, I don't want to be unfair. What I'm saying is that, yes, it is a wound or a trauma, but the source, what caused it, what kind of object, is impossible to determine conclusively, correct?
możemy
We can talk only about the following. It is a result of a trauma sustained.
Dealing with a third injury, that is one to the foot. You told us last week at page 2123 of the transcript that the scar was greatly modified and my question is, here again, with regard to the time and the modification of the scar, you cannot conclusively determine the source of the trauma or injury or wound that caused this scar, correct?
Your Honors.
Madam Prosecutor, is it necessary that I ask Mr. Witness to be ushered out?
No, it's just a correction, really. And again, I stand to be corrected, but I think my learned colleague made reference to an injury to the foot, but in fact, last week at the page that he made reference to, we're talking about the leg. So maybe we can double check the transcript and correct that. I think the expert was talking about the leg at that point.
Defense counsel?
It is my wrong, yeah. The mention was to the leg. We made an objection at the time for the same issue, but it was discussed in the leg because that was the description in the report, so I accept that. I am sorry for that.
Thank you, Madam Prosecutor. You may proceed.
So the injury to the leg, it's also equally impossible to determine the exact source.
Please,
Yes.
please put it in a question.
Is it possible to determine conclusively the source of the injury, what caused the injury?
obrażenie to
Yes, this injury was healed and it was a result of a trauma.
With your leave, Your Honor, I would like to focus on one specific photo to ask a question about.
With regard to which topic?
Now the foot
Please proceed.
of individual B. So, this one. So we're looking at the same report, SITF 00019-134 to SITF 00019-147, and we're looking at page 9, the top picture, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, it's actually the right picture because I'm not turned, so the
Can
right
it
one.
be made a little bit more lighter?
I think the picture is selected.
No?
If we
Okay.
deselect it, we can have the colors.
It will do. Please proceed.
Doctor, could you, from your observation of this scar to the leg, determine the gravity of this injury? Was it serious? Was it superficial? Medium? Can you clarify anything on that?
Było to obrażenie
It was an injury which covered tissues, soft tissues.
Possibly be qualified as superficial. The page is at SITF 00372734. The RN I have is SITF 00372734.
34. I see it 24.
No problem, Your Honor. We'll move away from it. I think it's not in the list there. So again, Doctor, were you informed that X-rays were done prior to that date, the year that we just spoke about? X-rays were done on this individual B and they returned negative. Were you told about that from individual B or from the officers that accompanied him?
Your Honors. I'm sorry, but we kindly requested my colleague provides a reference to this other X-ray that was allegedly done before the examination, because we are not sure we can follow, actually.
Thank you, Madam Prosecutor. I can follow your question, but I was going to ask you the same thing, if we could have a reference, and if you need some time to retrieve it, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. I am reading the ERN that I have. Maybe it has changed in the meantime, but it's SITF 00372733 to SITF 00372734. It's a two-page document, and it's at the end of that document.
Okay. We will. I will ask Madame Court Officer to have a look again to verify if it's the number of the document you are requesting to load up on the screen.
I think I understand where the problem comes from. It's not in our list.
Ah, okay.
It's in the legal workflow, but not in our list. This is the evidentiary basis, but if we have not put it in the list, maybe we can submit it to Your Honors at a later point.
I agree to bring it, to show it, because we are now discussing it, and I will ask the SPO and Victims Counsel what they think of it, but I don't see a problem in order to further our discussion or your examination in this respect.
Your Honor, yeah, we don't have objections. We would like, of course, to be able to see the document, but I think we are now retrieving it ourselves. So.
Okay, very well.
Thank
Victims
you.
Counsel.
Well, we don't object.
Okay, thank you. I was a little quick with my decision, but thank you. I will ask Madame Court Officer to look in legal workflow and to load it up.
Thank you and apologies. It's in the at the end of the document in the next page, the last paragraph. And if we are going to read it, we might need to move to private session.
Okay. Madam Court Officer, can you bring us into private session, please?
Your Honors, we are now in private session.
Thank you, Madam Court Officer. Defense Counsel, you have the floor.
Thank you, Your Honor. So I will read to you, Doctor, this information, and you tell us whether you were privy to this information, whether somebody, the individual B, or the officers gave you this information. Okay, I'll read it first. Sustained any kind of injuries or wounds in the past. So far, these original copies of X-rays and medical reports are still in our possess. End of the quote.
Can we also cite the date of this letter? It's at the beginning.
We are almost there, but we'll try to finish this one and check.
I'm not trying to make you hurry up, just information.
So the question is very simple, Doctor. Were you informed of this information? Yes or no?
Nie mam.
I have no note or information about this info on those previous photos, X-ray photos, having been taken.
Thank you, Doctor. This is very clear. Your Honor, I'm embarking on the last topic, which is very short. I don't know if Your Honors want to take the break. It might take maybe 10 minutes, so we will go slightly maybe over the time. So I'm in your hands, Your Honor, whether to take the break now or try to finish it already.
We take the break now, and then we continue after the break. We take...
Your Honors, just a point before, since we are now moving into a break and then, from what I understand, moving to another point later. We just wanted to put on the record that this report has been put to the doctor, seems to draw some general conclusions that are not really medical conclusions here. Based on an X-ray, what was read, there was no diagnosis stating or confirming any kind of injuries, and this goes against everything that the witness has been testifying so far. Of course, we don't understand that, we don't want to delve too much into this, but we don't understand how from an X-ray there would have been this conclusion that there were no injuries on soft tissues, which of course we understood from the doctor expertise that of course are two distinct matters, the soft tissues and the bones. So we just wanted to put this on the record that we think that the conclusion that stands now, this is not a medical conclusion, and again, as we heard, stands in contrast to what the expert has been testifying so far. That's just for the record.
Okay. And thank you, Madam Prosecutor. And you will have the opportunity in redirect to clarify if you think that's necessary any further on this issue.
If we may, Your Honor.
Yes.
We believe it wasn't the best method to make all these submissions in front of the witness right now. They had the opportunity to do cross-examination. If they have submissions, they could have made it at another point. They could explore it, soft tissues, no soft tissues. And the investigator is making observation of medical conclusions. It's not the investigator making medical conclusions. We shouldn't have this debate in front of the witness. It's very unfortunate.
Defense counsel, you have the floor to proceed. Oh, no, not. We are going into a break. That was the moment, yes. Very well. It is 5 minutes to... It's 5 minutes to 11. We will have to break till 11:30. Madam Court Officer, can you bring us into public session, please?
And we can take down the document.
Your Honors, we are now in public session.
Thank you, Madam Court Officer. A remark I would like to make with regard to the discussion we just, or the exchange we just had, is that we have an expert in front of us, and let us take on board that he is not going to be influenced by these type of remarks. But for next time, I do prefer that we have a discussion of this kind, not in presence of the witness. Yeah. Mr. Witness, Mr. Gazior, we are going to have a break till 11:30. Thank you, and we will see each other back in half an hour. Thank you, Madam Court Officer. The hearing is adjourned.
All rise. All rise.
Please be seated. I don't see Mr. Shala. But welcome to all others present. And while we are waiting for Mr. Shala, I will just check who is present. I think we can do that for now, and hopefully he will be back right away. I see that you're in the same composition, the SPO, the Victims' Counsel too, and that goes for the defense. Welcome, Mr. Shala. This was a little bit later than we expected.
I apologize, Your Honors. It was on my fault the door was closed.
Oh, I did not hear well what you just said. Oh, the door was closed. Okay, very well. It's good to have you here. then we can proceed. Let me see. Therefore, I call the witness in, and in your absence, Mr. Shala, we confirmed that we are in the same composition as when we finished before the break. So that's on record. We have a question. It's about the transcript. Let us go to. It was on 10:04. I'm going there now. 10:04. The catheter was being discussed, and then apparently. Let me see. The witness said the catheter is a tube going to the urinary bladder. And but let us see which line it is exactly. I don't see it. 10:04. Apparently, what should be added, 10:11. Okay, here at page 10, line 11, it's a tube which is entered into the urinary bladder, and apparently it should be added through the urethra. That was apparently said. I see defense counsel standing. Please, you have the floor.
Thank you, Your Honor. It could be our omission, but we didn't hear that it was through the urethra. What we know is that there are two ways of introducing catheters, one through the stomach wall and one through the urethra. So if Your Honor's wish, we can clarify that.
Yes, because apparently we have received a note with regard to the interpretation, and so I think it would be helpful if we put that question again with regard to the explanation. Yes, very well. Then we can proceed with the cross-examination by the defense, and I will ask Madame Court Usher to bring the witness in, please. Thank you. The fact that you did not hear it, defense counsel, can be due to the fact that there was a problem with the interpretation. Welcome back, Mr. Gassior. Mr. Gassior, can you confirm that you hear me fine?
Tak słyszę.
Yes, I can hear you fine.
Mr. Shala, did you hear the translation of the words of the witness?
Yes, I heard it very well, thank you.
Then we can proceed. I will do the clarifying question, defense counsel. Mr. Gazior, I will ask you for a clarification because we realized that in the interpretation from Polish into English, maybe something got lost. So we want to be sure to have everything in the transcript. you were asked to explain for laymen what a catheter consists of. And then you told us it's a tube which is entered into the urinary bladder. And then apparently in the translation what got lost was the words you said, through the urethra. Can you confirm that you said that?
So, the catheter is introduced into the body through the urethra.
I think that suffices, but if you would like to have more clarification, I don't see nothing from Victims' Counsel. Thank you, Mr. Gazior. I will now give the floor back to the Defense Counsel so he can proceed with his questions. You have the floor.
Thank you, Your Honor. Before we move to the last topic we have, Doctor, let me ask you a couple of follow-up questions about the catheter, if I may. And so you told us that the catheter was introduced to the urethra. Is that something you observed on the body, where the tubes were leading or where they were applied?
Jest to ogólna.
This was a general comment how it's done.
The way to apply catheter through the stomach wall, for example.
Ogólcewnik jest.
Usually, the catheter is introduced into the urinary bladder. In some special cases, it can be also introduced into the urinary bladder in a way different than through the urethra.
From what you could observe from the state of the body, was there any observation that could lead you to determine the way this one was applied or not? Or it was just the item that you found?
Stwierdziłem fakt.
I just ascertained the fact that the catheter was found in the body of this individual.
Thank you, Doctor. I'm moving to my last topic, Your Honor. You leave.
Please proceed.
Thank you very much. Now, Doctor, we are moving to the last topic, which means the last individual, the individual that we called individual C. And if it may help you, we can proceed the same way as earlier, that is go to private session, put you the cover page of the report so you can see the number and everything without mentioning that later on in the public session. Is that agreeable to you?
Thank you. We will proceed into private session, and then we will proceed as indicated.
Your Honors, we are now back in public session.
Thank you, Madam Court Officer. Defense Counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor. If we may stay in the report, of course not being broadcast to the public, but to the second page, just to put the sentence about the topic we are going to talk about with the expert. Page 2, please.
And so for the record, with regard to individual C.
Yes, the paragraph we need is information received from the patient. So we can focus on that paragraph, and I will read just one sentence. Doctor, this is the information provided by the individual C that is mentioned in the report. And what we see here, and I want you to confirm it, is this individual C mentioned to you, I was beating on the sole of feet and in all the body. And it's in the middle of that paragraph. And my question is this. Do you confirm, doctor, that individual C didn't mention to you, doctor, that his leg or foot was broken or that he sustained fractures in his leg?
Informacja,
The information that is put in the report, this is the information, indeed, received from the patient before we proceeded with his physical examination.
Your Honor, with your leave, if we go to the following page, to the conclusions, the external examination, actually, just before the conclusion on that page 3, we would like to...
So 9-5 are the last numbers of this document you want to have on screen.
Yes, Your Honor.
Please proceed, Madam Court Officer.
So, Doctor, you've gone through the bullet points with our learned colleague from the SPO, but there is one mention after the bullet points that reads, no evidence of previous injuries on right foot. It's written foot, but we understand it means foot, and a mention of pictures 21 and 22. Do you confirm, doctor, that upon examination you found no traces of any fractures or, in fact, no injuries to the foot, right foot?
stopa prawa,
The right foot, pictures 21, 22. Well, there is this note, no evidence of previous injuries on the right foot. Well, this note, this sentence means that such injuries were not visible. They were not visible from the outside.
Did you request X-rays on this occasion from patient C?
Pacjent ten
This patient was informed or was, yes, I gave him a recommendation to go and have X-ray performed.
Did you receive any X-rays?
nie mam w protokole.
There is no information in the report to the effect that he reappeared at this department where he worked, so I have no knowledge of his X-ray examination, whether those pictures were taken or not. No knowledge.
Thank you, Doctor. Now, last week at page 2129, lines 23, 24 of the transcript, you discussed marks on the skin and on the body of individual C, if you remember, and you explained that they could have been caused as a result of contact with something of high temperature. Do you remember that?
Tak, pamiętam.
Yes, I do remember.
Information provided by this individual C that is mentioned in the report, this individual C mentioned electroshocks, that he was subjected to electroshock. And my question is this. Those scars, superficial scars to the skin that you observed, that could be a result of contact with high temperature, could it be possible if we imagine a scenario where the body of an individual or this body is receiving electroshocks or a taser hit, if you understand what I mean, that they will cause similar scars or scars of this type?
Informacja otrzymana.
The information we received from the patient was put into the report. And now, during the examination itself, I concluded, or I found, the presence of superficial scars that could have been a consequence of burns. Those scars can be seen in the relevant photos.
But what I'm after is it possible that these burns could be caused by some electrical shocks or contact with something that has electricity like a taser? If you can't conclude that, please tell us so.
Nie potrafię
I cannot answer your question. I'm not able to.
Thank you, Doctor. Just, Your Honor, if you allow me a moment.
Please proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. I think we are done with our questioning. I'll try my best to thank Doctor in his mother language. I'll do my best. Dziękuję, Mr. Witness. Thank you very much, Your Honor, and Mr. Witness.
As a gesture of appreciation. Then we will proceed to see if there is a necessity for a second round. Madam Prosecutor, would the SPO like to have a rejoinder? A redirect, excuse me. Yes, please proceed with conferring with the colleagues.
Yes, Your Honors. I just have a brief question for the expert.
Please proceed, Madam Prosecutor.
Dr. Gazior, you earlier told us at transcript page 22, line 14, in relation to the injury to the foot, that injury was an injury covering soft tissues, and that's what you told us today. And I would kindly ask the expert, with your leave, Your Honors, to confirm that the injury we're talking about is the one showed in a specific picture, just to be clear, if that is okay.
Please proceed.
So may I have, please, SITF 000-19134. And this is at page ending in ERN 143. Dr. Gazio, can you confirm that these are the injuries that you were referring to when talking about the scars on the soft tissue of the foot?
Czy mówimy w tej chwili o
We are talking now about the patient which we described as patient B.
Earlier, but yes, that's exactly the case.
These are the injuries about which I wrote in the report.
Thank you for that. Thank you, Dr. Gazior. I think that concludes our redirect, Your Honors. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Prosecutor. Victims' Counsel, do you have further questions for the witness?
It would have been the same as the question you've just heard, so no, thank you.
Thank you. And Defense Counsel, did something come up with regard for your rejoinder? You have the floor.
Yes, Your Honor, if we are allowed, and to be most efficient, we go straight to the point that was mentioned, and I'd like to call one document to further clarify this point at ERN 1138-43. It's part of the ERN 1138-41 to 1138-43, so this is the last page of that document. If we look at paragraph 19 onwards, Doctor, I would like to read to you more qualifications that you gave with regard to the question that was just put to you by my learned colleague, and I'll read it to you and ask you to confirm. So, paragraph, with your leave, Your Honor, can I?
You may proceed.
Thank you. Paragraph 19. Based on the scar on the leg, which is superficial, it's impossible to say if it was caused by a gunshot wound, but that cannot be excluded. Paragraph 20. Based on the scar on the foot, we cannot exclude that it was caused by a gunshot wound, but it is difficult to determine what caused it. Paragraph 21. The 30-degree ankle reported at SITF 00019-144 was between the two scars on the foot. And paragraph 22, Gassior also explained that when a scar moves over the bone, that means that it is a superficial scar. Do you confirm what is written here, Doctor?
When examining a patient, I wanted to talk about scars. Scars result from a healed injury. And it is extremely difficult to precisely state on the basis of a scar and indicate what was a tool used to cause that injury, the scar of which is visible during the examination. That's why it cannot be excluded that this injury resulted as a hit that we were talking about.
Thank you, Doctor. It is clear for us, Your Honor. So we have no further questions.
Thank you, Defense Counsel. With relation to what was said under point 22, I will have a follow-up question, but to explain to you what's going to happen now, Mr. Gassior, the panel has some questions for you, yeah, and with that we will finalize the examination here in court. Yes? Very well. Defense Counsel just read out to you what is written under point 22 that we have now on the page that we have now on the screen, that you explained that when a scar moves over the bone, that means that it is a superficial scar. But under 23, I saw that the fact that the scar is detached to the bone, and then my question to you would be, if we say detached to the bone, is that the same as that the scar moves over the bone?
A scar which moves over a bone is not attached to that bone in the place of a trauma.
Under number 23, you say the fact that the scar is detached to the bone may be due to the passage of time. So the fact that the scar is not detached to a bone does not, do I understand well, that it does not indicate if the injury was serious or not?
Czas
The time heals the wounds always. And sometimes in medicine, the scar, which results from a trauma or injury, when the patient is being examined immediately after the injury has been sustained, looks quite differently and behaves in a different way towards the bone than the same scar after a passage of several dozen months.
You confirmed how I understood it, but I just wanted to be sure. I have another question, and then I will give the floor to one of my colleagues. Mr. Gazior, last week, and I will give the reference for the record. It was transcript of the 27th of June, page 2112, line 22, till page 2113, line 11. You were asked if you were able to conclude in what position the patient was, and I am referring to the individual A, when that person was shot at. And you indicated that you were not in a position to do that. My question to you is, Mr. Gazior, if the injuries, and I mean then the shot holes on the leg, would they be, if you can say that, compatible with a person that has been standing? And I would have the same question for if he would be sitting.
bardzo trudno odpowiedzieć.
It is very difficult to reply. We could talk about the position of a person when he received the first shot. According to what we call an ordinary observation, after the first shot was received, then we are not able to say what was the position of the patient.
For a reply to the question, if you can confirm if he was sitting or standing or in what position he was, I just would like to know if the injury you saw, and then with regard to the first shot, if it was compatible with the person standing or sitting or lying even.
It cannot be excluded.
On this point. I will look, I know that at my left-hand side, Judge BT has another question or even more for you, so I will give him the floor. Please.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Judge. Dr. Gazior, Today, page 8, line 8, and we were speaking about patient A. You said the patient on the right leg had a gypsum plaster. And on page 17 of today's transcript, line 10, also with regard to patient A, you said the injury sustained was a life-threatening injury. Alors, could you explain to us the following? Could that gypsum plaster have been in any way useful with regard to the life-threatening injury suffered by patient A?
Patient A
The patient A was delivered to us, to the mortuary, after the exhumation being carried out. And on the right lower limb, he had a gypsum plaster. The patient's examination was carried out in such a way that there were removed the artifacts, that is to say, clothes, gypsum plaster, and other items, and the bones were cleared from the remnants of the soft tissue. The patient was placed on the table in the anatomical position, and then the examination, the skeletal remains were examined. And in the report, I described the injuries that were visible then.
Very well. And you said that he suffered a life-threatening injury, and you said that apparently his artery was destroyed. Am I correct in what I just said?
The direction of the shot in the lower right limb is placed in the area where the artery goes. That is to say, this gunshot caused the destruction of the artery, and as a result, there is a bleeding.
Such a bleeding, is a gypsum plaster a useful solution to treat that patient, according to you?
tętnica
The artery goes in between the fossa, or between the condyles of the femur bone. So the shot caused the damage to the bones and to the arteries, and that's why the artery was damaged. But the plaster cast was on the outside. Only a correct and quick chirurgical, surgical intervention could create a chance of saving a patient.
So I understand that the gypsum plaster alone could not have saved his life. The only thing which would have saved his life would have been to bring him to hospital. Am I correct in what I say?
and he should have been correctly and quickly treated surgically and medically. But this plaster, gypsum plaster, was placed on the outside.
And therefore could not have saved his life. That's what you want to tell me.
Tam opatrunek
The gypsum plaster itself, which was put outside, would not stop the intense bleeding from a damaged artery.
Further question.
Thank you. Mr. Gazior, there are no further questions from the side of the panel, and that means that we are now at the end of your testimony here in court. I would like to thank you for all the efforts you put into giving your testimony and for the several days that you came to the court. I'm sure that it will be of assistance for this panel to find the truth. So thank you very much. I remind you that you should not discuss your testimony with anybody. And I wish you a good and safe trip home. And I will ask Madame Court Usher to usher you out.
Dziękuję bardzo.
Thank you very much.
Very well. There is a point left with regard to the skeleton and the skull. The panel would like to call this skeleton and the skull into evidence. They were used by Mr. Gazior during his testimony. So that seems for us enough reason to do that. Madame Gazior, could you allocate... Madame Court Officer, could you please allocate to these two visual aids an exhibit number, and then we can start with the skeleton, and then the second number, the second exhibit number, will be for the skull.
Your Honors, the first visual aid, the skeleton, will receive exhibit number C00001, and the second visual aid, the skull, will receive exhibit number C00002.
Thank you, Madame Court Officer. Defense Counsel, I see you standing.
Apologies, just for a suggestion from past experiences with using material in the courtroom. We put the suggestion that certain demonstrations that were made by the expert could be retrieved in screenshots from the video recording of the hearing and could be screenshotted and then introduced as exhibits when the expert is pointing to certain points. It has been done in the past in other proceedings, so we put the suggestion if that's useful for anybody.
Would for sure avoid going back to the lengthy recordings we have and search for the specific parts. I will ask what Madame Prosecutor thinks of this suggestion.
Thank you, Your Honors. Yes, it's a good suggestion. We will see if we can make use of it when looking at the exhibits to be tendered. So maybe revising the video of the testimony and see whether we can make some screenshots. I don't know if that was the suggestion on how to proceed, but we will take that on board.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Prosecutor. Victims' Counsel, is there anything you would like to add in this?
No, thank you, Your Honour.
Okay. Now, you have I had not even asked it, Madam Prosecutor, but thank you for looking into this to see if it's possible to have these screenshots uploaded on legal workflow. And then, how to proceed in a more technical way, we will see when it's necessary. Very well. Is there anything that the SPO wants to raise with the panel?
Yes, Your Honor, just an organizational matter for the expert witness tomorrow. We have revised our time estimates slightly, and we believe we'll be able to be done within 1 hour. So should be a little bit shorter than we initially were initially thinking.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for giving us already the update today. Victims' Counsel.
No, nothing from us. Thank you, Your Honour.
Thank you. And Defence Counsel.
Yes, Your Honour. Thank you very much. So, Mrs. Carriolu is able to ask a question to the next expert, but we face a problem. She is retained in another town now because she came back from the expert. She met the expert during the weekend, and she was obliged to stay there because the plane has a problem. So usually she would be here at the end of the afternoon, but I want to introduce this idea, and you are fully aware about the situation. So I cannot, I expect that she will be ready, of course, for tomorrow, but wait and see. As soon as we have some information, I provide it to the registry to be sure to avoid any problem.
But for me to clarify and maybe to see if we can already think of a solution now, if I understand well, the problem is that she is not here at the moment, so tomorrow morning she would not be able to be in court to ask the question to the witness. That's the point.
Exactly. She's stuck in München.
Yes.
Exactly.
And I see two solutions that one of you ask the questions, and another solution could be that we look at the possibilities of a video link, but I don't know if that is possible because that entails a lot more than just setting up a Zoom meeting. But my first suggestion would be, is not one of the colleagues in the possibility to ask the questions?
Oh, first, I hope she will be there.
Of course,
Sure.
But we think in plan B. In
Yeah.
Dutch we say to govern is to look ahead.
Yeah.
We are not governing here, but we have to look ahead in order to make things work.
Of course. We will raise the issue inside the team, and we will provide an information and an answer at the best we can. But today, of course, as soon as possible, I think so.
You can make a request in that respect, and then we will take a decision on that.
But we will provide any information to the registry. As soon as we have one, no problem. Thank you very much.
So, in principle, we will adjourn till tomorrow, 9:30, to hear witness 4875. And if there's a request from the side of the defense, we will rule on it. But I urge you to discuss internally if the specific question cannot be asked by one of you. I think that would have the preference if she would not be here.
Your Honor, just on this point, just to inform Your Honor that my understanding is that the witness has a pretty busy schedule with his academic endeavors and other commitments. So just it may not be possible to, for example, scheduling for another day.
Thank you.
With your leave, Your Honor.
Of course.
I just want to say that Ms. Carriero was not late with his flight. She is victim of an emergency landing. That's why.
No, but that I see, and you have noticed that there's no blame, of course, from our side. However, I see 3 defense counsels in the team, and so one of the reasons is, I would say, that one counsel could step in for the other one, and I understand that depending on the topic, there are certain terrains of expertise, but on the other hand, we are also discussing here the ongoing of this proceedings, and without even taking on board what the SPO has said, I think that there must be very good reasons in order to postpone the scheduled hearing for tomorrow morning. That's good. If there's nothing else to raise today, we in principle meet again tomorrow at 9:30, and the hearing is adjourned.
All rise.